اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Abu Darda radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "There will be nothing heavier in the scale of good deeds on the day of resurrection than good character," mentioned by Abu Dawud. Muaz ibn Jabal radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, "The last thing which the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam advised me with when I had placed my foot in the stirrup was that he said to me, 'O Muaz ibn Jabal, make good your character for the people,'" mentioned by Imam Malik. Malik Rahimahullah narrates that he received the hadith wherein the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "I have been commissioned as a prophet to perfect good character," mentioned by Imam Malik. Jabir radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The most beloved of you to me and the one who will enjoy the closest seat with me on the day of resurrection will be those who have the best character," mentioned by Tirmidhi. And Nawas ibn Saman radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, "I asked the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about righteousness and sin. He said, righteousness is good character, while sin is that which creates doubt in your heart and you dislike that people become aware of it," mentioned by Muslim. Makhrool Rahimahullah narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The believers are very obedient to the order of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu and possess a soft disposition like an obedient camel, which goes in whichever direction it is directed and will even sit on a rock if it is made to do so," mentioned by Tirmidhi. Note, it is difficult to sit on a rock, but it will still do so out of obedience to its masters. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Should I inform you of the person who is prohibited to the hellfire and to whom the hellfire is prohibited? Every such person who is close to people, soft-natured and of an easy disposition," mentioned by Tirmidhi. Note, being close to people means that because of his soft nature, he mixes with people and people also mix with him without any formalities because of his good qualities, mentioned by Ma'arif al-Hadith. Iyad ibn Himar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who was from the Banu Majushi tribe, narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Allah Jalla Jalaluhu revealed to me that you should be so humble to the extent that no one vexes pride over another and no one wrongs another," mentioned by Muslim. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, "I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu elevates the person who humbles himself for the sake of Allah. He does consider himself to be insignificant while he is great in the eyes of people. Allah debases the person who is proud. He is thus insignificant in the eyes of people, but considers himself to be great. Yet he is more disgraceful than a dog or pig in people's eyes," mentioned by Bayhaqi. Abdullah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The person who has an atom's weight of pride will not enter paradise," mentioned by Muslim. Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, "I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, the person who likes people to stand out of respect for him must make his abode in the hellfire," mentioned by Tirmidhi. Note, this warning is issued to the person who himself likes people to stand out of respect for him. If a person does not like people to stand up for him while they stand up out of respect and love for him, then this is another matter, mentioned by Ma'arif al-Hadith. Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, "There was no one who was more beloved to the companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum than the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Despite this, when they saw him, they did not stand up because they knew that he disliked this," mentioned by Tirmidhi. Abu Darda radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, when a person experiences physical discomfort for another and forgives him for it, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu most certainly raises his rank by one and forgives one sin of his. Mentioned by Tirmidhi. Jawdan radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when a person offers an excuse to his brother and the later does not accept it, he shall be committing a sin similar to the person who collects illegal taxes. Mentioned by Ibn Majah. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Musa ibn Imran alayhi salam asked, O Lord, who is the most honorable servant in your sight? Allah Jalla Jalaluhu replied, the person who is able to exact revenge but still forgives. Mentioned by Bayhaqi. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that a man came to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked, O Messenger of Allah, how many times should I overlook the mistakes of my servant? The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam remained silent. The person asked, O Messenger of Allah, how many times should I overlook the mistakes of my servant? He replied, 70 times each day. Mentioned by Tirmidhi. Huzaifa radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, there was a person from one of the past nations to whom the angel of death came in order to take away his life. When he passed on to the next world after the angel had taken away his life, he was asked, did you do any good? He replied, I do not know. It was said to him, look into your life and search for some good. He said, I do not see any such action, but it was my practice that when I used to engage in transactions with people, I used to give respite to the affluent and completely forgive the poor. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu admitted this person into paradise. Mentioned by Bukhari. Abu Qatada radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, whoever would like Allah Jalla Jalaluhu to rescue him from the miseries of the day of resurrection should give respite to a debtor in difficulty or completely forego his dues. Mentioned by Muslim. Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, I served the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for 10 years in Medina. I was a young boy and everything which I did was not necessarily as he wanted. But he never said, ah, to me. He never asked me, why did you do this? Or why did you do this? Mentioned by Abu Dawud. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that a man said to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, advise me. He said, do not become angry. The man repeated the question several times and each time he said, do not become angry. Mentioned by Bukhari. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a strong person is not one who wrestles very well. Rather, a strong person is who controls himself at the time of anger. Mentioned by Bayhaqi. Abu Zar radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to us, when any of you becomes angry while he is standing, he must sit down. If his anger subsides by sitting down, well and good. If not, he must lie down. Mentioned by Abu Dawud. This hadith means that the angry person must adopt any change in posture which aids his anger to subside as much as possible. There is less possibility of harm if a person sits down and even less if he lies down. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to make amal upon whatever we have listened to, and may He give us the tawfiq to send this to others, inshallah. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayh.